Yeah, apparently things are really escalating between the Israel and Iran war. It's now the US that is getting hit. But we're basically going to go into that. I just wanted to start off with like saying like this is what the war is actually doing right now. This is how it is going to affect the rest of the world that receives resources from Iran, and Iran mostly supplies about a third of the world's oil. And this is what you know the local news basically here in South Africa actually has to say about this.
Market sentiment has been characterized as weaker on the back of tensions taking place in the Middle East. And this came through in market activity, with Asian markets trading mixed, the local JSE trading largely in negative territory today, and US markets opening more or less unchanged on last Friday's close. The local currency also felt some downward pressure.
Looking at our local currency, I mean, we're out at 18.14 to the dollar. We've seen a little bit of a pickup in the US dollar index, but we are losing a ground against the euro and the pound as well. And that's also to be expected. When you see heightened geopolitical risk, of course, you see a flight to safety, and you see typically money pulling out of emerging markets like South Africa. So that move also does make sense, although it is fairly subdued. We've seen, what, call it 10 cents on the local currency, which is really not big given the historical moves that we see in the rand.
Market players are keeping a very close eye on developments on the crude oil market. Brent crude oil spiked 2% in early Asian trading, but retraced those gains somewhat. This as market participants favored rather seeing how Iran will react to the US's attack against its nuclear facilities over the weekend, with speculation rife that it could perhaps decide to close an important waterway that's commonly used by oil tankers in the ferrying of oil to a number of different countries around the world.
If you just consider the importance of the straits, I mean, they're 21 miles wide at their narrowest point, and if you look at the amount.
Yeah, like Bear's basically saying Iran can literally choke the countries that actually use their oil, especially that canal that they're actually talking about now, which is about 21 miles or kilometers wide. That specific one is needed in order for the ships, not just the oil ships, but other ships as well that supply, that export and import, to get through as well. And that's what kind of makes it quite difficult. So we've all been looking at this whole thing like, yeah, it's missiles. It's all about, it's a political gain. Now it's starting to hit into something which is obviously economic, and economically, a lot of countries can feel it. And right now, in my country, here in South Africa, with the fact that the oil prices are hitting a 5 month high, means that, wow, I'm gonna probably be paying a lot more money now for the fuel that I'm putting in my car.
The volume of global oil trade that moves through there, it's around a quarter. You're talking about 20 million barrels per day. So it's around 20% of the liquefied natural gas market as well. So an absolutely critical choke point for energy. And I think the challenge around, Iran targeting the Straits of Hormuz is that it's also the bulk of that trade goes to China, which is a country that's come out and condemned, obviously, the US bombings over the weekend.
Boyson suggests that if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, that could result in the oil price immediately hitting as much as $100 a barrel, just for starters. So far, the market has not priced in this prospect, but should it suddenly happen in the coming days, this will lead to global inflationary pressures. And locally, this would mean higher fuel prices, which would put pressure on food prices and all other products, kissing any further prospect of a rate cut goodbye. Nampumelelo Ziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.
That just means that food is gonna get more expensive. When fuel price goes up, the food price goes up because they have to transport the food, the food and every other resources that they use, everything that they need to transport, everything, all the prices will go. Sorry, all the prices will go up because they need to transport these resources to where it needs to be. So wow, I can't believe that the oil price is actually hitting my country at this moment. Um, Apparently, there is some breaking news. This U.S. Defense Department states that Iran fired multiple short and medium range missiles at a United States base in Qatar. And let's just take a look at that one.
The U.S. Defense Department confirmed that Iran fired multiple short and medium-range missiles at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. At this time, there are no reports of U.S. casualties. The Pentagon has indicated in a statement. It added, "We are monitoring this situation closely." Let's talk to...
I mean, that's a big mistake. Like, I know Iran. I know that the United States like retaliated on Iran in terms of the nuclear sites. But, dude, the United States says they mean it when they say, "Don't go for my soldiers. Don't go for my people. Don't go for my soldiers." I mean, they have the motto, "Never leave no man behind." They really mean that. I mean, they go beyond to save the guys, and especially when it comes to these civilians that are traveling, the tourists. I mean, the American civilians that are traveling throughout the world. Everybody knows, don't touch an American, because America doesn't leave it alone when one of their citizens are taken like hostage or get hurt or get killed in terms of some political standpoint, or some terrorist like says, "Oh, death to this, death." America doesn't leave that alone. They've left Iran alone for a very long time, and I think this is just what happened when they sent the B-2 bombs. Is it just had to be done, because I'm sure from Trump's side, like, they're not gonna let Iran just get away with the fact that you go in for an ally, you say death to America, and then you expect us to have peace treaty. No, we're first gonna blow a few things up, then we're gonna sign a deal. It's gonna be like that.
Our correspondent Susan Teherani, who's now joining us on the phone. Is there any further details coming from the White House, Susan?
Well, the White House don't want to say anything now.
The White House sources are telling CNN here that President Trump does not plan to retaliate, and for the most part has seen this attack as being quote-unquote theatrical on background.
Oh, no. He plans to retaliate. I mean, the whole time he said, "Well, I'm about 2 weeks away. We haven't decided what we're going to do." And then 2 days later, they bomb the entire place. That takes more than 2 days worth of planning. The fact that he says like he doesn't plan to retaliate, they planning. It's done. It's already planned.
U.S. officials said that after Iran fires a few missiles at U.S. bases in the Gulf, now they're saying that the president has no intention of retaliatory military strikes against Iran following, quote, its failed retaliation strikes, which they describe as largely being, quote unquote, theatrical. We are also hearing reports that President Trump has no desire to go back into Iran militarily, and he continues to say that the avenues of dialogue and negotiation continue to be open.
All right, Susan, this is the latest development that we are getting in our newsroom. Oil prices have fallen 5% after Iran attacked U.S. military base. Oil prices sunk more than 5% after Iran attacked a U.S. military base in neighboring Qatar in retaliation for U.S. Weekend strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Remember, just hours earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump asked to keep the prices low and urged countries not to play right into the hands of Iran. Have we heard from the president yet? Because he had a series of posts on Truth Social earlier in the day. Susan.
Truth Social.
We did. We have. And now we are, there's a recent Truth Social post right now where he's going after the legacy media here in the United States, and he's basically saying that it's fake news that the nuclear sites that the United States targeted weren't completely destroyed, and that Iran doesn't pose a nuclear threat. He says that it's inaccurate and fake news to say anything otherwise. For example, you know, there were reports that how successful these attacks were or not. Now, it's not clear whether or not he just received intelligence on the damage assessment, and that's why he's putting out.
I was like saying, like, Iran is not giving out the details of just how much damage they received from all of those 14 bunker busters. And not to mention if it was like on target, like even though the bunker busters went down, did it really bunker bust? Is my question. Did it hit a bunker? Did it bust the bunker? Or was it deeper than what everybody thinks? Or did it miss? We don't know. I'm sure with the intelligence that the United States have, like, it's pretty hard for them to like actually miss, especially when you have pilots that are trained to drop these kind of these kind of payloads. But my question is, dude, Iran doesn't seem, they're like quiet. They are quiet. They have just retaliated now on a US base, and normally nobody would do that. Nobody's dumb enough to do that. But Iran, it's either that little dog that's just like, okay, this dog doesn't want to listen, or it's more like it's a pit bull because it can fight back. That could be the thing. That's the thing. And Iran also say that there's no nuclear radiation leaks, which means, did the United States really hit the proper spots? Is it really as damaged as it is? From what we can see on the satellites, we could see the buildings were damaged, but what about the bunkers? That's the whole thing. And the other thing is, did Iran actually know about the strikes? That's the question. Because there's some news going around that Iran already, they had a heads up that they were going to be struck, and who knows? Those sites might not even be the nuclear sites. They were just claimed to be nuclear sites, but the nuclear sites could be way secretive.
Out these posts, but nonetheless, that's the latest we've heard from the president. We still are waiting to hear officially from the White House, and if we get any news from that national security meeting that started at around 1 p.m. local time here.
Susan Tehrani is our correspondent in New York. Dharamjot Kaur is our correspondent in the newsroom. Dharamjot Kaur, I'll go back to you. Is there any new development?
Well, Eric, Abu Dhabi-based Etihad Airways has now said that it is rerouting several flights on June 23rd and June 24th in response to airspace restrictions in part of West Asia. This is the latest airline to now
Even
take
airlines
a
have
call
to be changed
with respect
now.
to rerouting and diverting its flights after...
Let's just check, not this dude. Maybe
hijacked the Iranian people from being friends of Israel. And in this case, of course, as we have good relation with the UAE, the Iranians can have as much nuclear reactor for civilian power as they want. So this will be my goal.
Whoa, what is this? What's going on here?
Right, let's bring you more on the developments in Iran as we are speaking now to Tembisa Fakude, who is of course, our expert on international affairs, as we look to some of the big...
Come on now, I want to hear.
Yeah, well, if I got the question correct, it's a bit... I couldn't hear it properly, but anyway, yeah, the situation still seems to be escalating. Iran is obviously retaliating, and it retaliated by hitting Al Udeid military camp, which is the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East. And
so
of course, that has created anxiety, particularly in Qatar, which has been very friendly and supportive of Iran. So we don't know what this is going to do. Donald Trump has warned Iran not to retaliate, and we have to wait and see what will happen. What will happen after this? Because if this was indeed agreed upon, as many people are saying, and it was symbolic, you are likely to have it ending now. But if Donald Trump decided otherwise, you are likely to have escalation.
Because what we had heard is that the Trump administration had maintained that it was just to destroy Iran's nuclear program and not to open a wider war, up until we saw that social media post with Donald Trump now saying that, entertaining the idea of a regime change in Tehran in that social media post on Sunday. Which direction does the so-called tit for tat appear to be heading, especially as Iran, as we know, is interacting with Russia, getting backing from one of its last major power friends for its next steps?
Yeah, well, the reaction is likely to disturb a lot of stability in the region, but the entering of in the fail, I mean, we've heard that, for example, the Iranians have delivered a letter to Vladimir Putin. We don't know what's contained in the letter, but the belief is that they were asking for assistance. But to correctly put it, Donald Trump has said that he doesn't want to escalate. The purpose was to destroy and suppress the possibility of nuclear proliferation in Iran, and Donald Trump has said the mission was achieved. But of course,
that's what he said.
The designated area on the map, and do not approach it for the next few hours. For the next few...
I mean, they say that they have successfully destroyed those facilities, but is it true? What about underneath? We don't know. Did the bunker buses really hit it? Can't be sure.
Few hours. Your presence in this area puts your life at risk. So, no peace yet. No peace yet. Let's look this up where this is on the map. I'm going to change the headline. Well, I'll leave it like that.
The Israeli army is going to operate that specific area in Iran, I guess.
All right, hang on. This is Tel Aviv there.
Yeah.
Give me a moment.
No, give me a
I
moment.
need to fix something here.
Let's just see. Iran retaliates.
I'm leaving that like that for now. Leave it like this for now.
This is just
Let me
pictures.
go to the map and see if I...
It's ads. That's my thing. How far is this thing gonna escalate? Like, who or where are the allies? Who's gonna get involved here? Besides Iran, like, look, Iran is going up against two now. They're going up against Israel and they're going up against the United States. Who's gonna back up Iran? How peaceful and how quiet it is over what country is this? Iran attacks US base in Qatar. Tehran responds to Trump's bombing. Seems very peaceful in this country. Better in a year, the White House reacts. Ed?
Iran's nuclear facilities. Now that they have retaliated against U.S. interests overseas, and there's a risk of a regional war.
The president warned them not to retaliate, but he was also very clear that the threat of Iran obtaining nuclear capability is a threat not just to Israel and the Middle East, but to the United States as well. They've been very clear about their intentions and how much they hate us. Remember that Iran is the largest...
Yeah, I mean, they said that they literally have sleeper cells in America right now.
This state sponsor of terrorism. All the proxies that have done such great harm to Americans over the years are at their behest. They were working on that, and the president made an evaluation that the danger was imminent enough to take his authority as commander-in-chief and make that
Mr. Speaker, in the past couple of months, we've had some strikes
Whoa, I don't even understand what the question is.
on soil here. We've had so many strikes here on U.S. soil, attacks against Jews in Boulder and here in Washington, D.C., Governor Shapiro. Do you think that this threat is so serious now, just not at anti-Semitic attacks here, but there's a grave concern about somebody being triggered doing something here in the United States in response to what happened?
Well, we've been in a heightened threat scenario for quite some time, and it's something that we're very vigilant about, as is law enforcement throughout the country, and of course our federal agencies. We get briefings on this routinely, and we know where the threats are and the assessments. But it's a heightened period, of course. Members are concerned about that, as you know. Some of our Jewish members in particular have been targeted, even in recent days, by crazed people. We're going to prosecute those folks to the full extent of the law, and we're going to do everything we can within our power to make sure members are safe and free to do their jobs. There's a number of resources available for protection in that regard, and we're researching other avenues to make sure everyone who serves the public can do so in a safe manner.
Why not have Congress vote on Iran? Why not have this?
Well, one at a time.
So look, there's been so much talk ranging from AOC suggesting this is an impeachable offense, which is just absolute nonsense, to people suggesting that Congress should dither over this. Look, the Commander-in-Chief has Article 2 responsibilities. They're very serious and important, especially in times like this.
Yes.
I think he used that authority judiciously. I think this Commander-in-Chief means what he says what he means, and he's trying to protect American assets and personnel. We had 40,000 servicemen, men and women over there in that region, And they were in imminent danger, as was our allies in Israel, and as were we. Remember, the international body that is supposed to be monitoring Iran's nuclear program determined in May that they were days away from having capabilities.
Dude, days away, and this was in May? I swear, they have nuke. They have 1 or 2, maybe more. I swear, if they said days away, it was always like, they just like, you know, trying to escalate it, they are days away from having a nuke. I swear, Iran has nukes. They are just keeping it like last resort. Maybe last resort, or just for the fun of it. You know, you know, one of the guys like about to get assassinated, like lost the bomb. But we'll have to see. This thing could escalate increasingly. I mean, possibility of nukes. 2 countries are up against 1. Is Iran really going to have an ally that's going to back him up?
Will you allow Massey's War Powers resolution to come to the floor?
I don't think this is an appropriate time for a War Powers resolution, and I don't think...
Yeah. The other thing is, man, sleeper cells in America, that's the next thing right now. It's incredible. Like, now that America has jumped in, not only are the bases getting attacked, we're going to see there's going to be more bases, not just the biggest one that's in the Middle East, which is in Qatar right now, but are there more bases that are going to get attacked? And at the same time, what about the sleeper cells? Right now, every American out there has to literally be careful if the sleeper cell threat is true. Because that means you're going to get this indiscriminate bombings. You're going to get, obviously the Jews are Americans as well, so they are in as much danger as the rest of the American population, you know, as well as the tourists that are there as well. So wow, this has escalated, eh? Like, it's been 10 days, and this is how far it's gone. It's insane. It's truly insane.